Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the thick glass windows. He had been in space for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like what was happening now. Dark shapes were moving between the stars, getting bigger and bigger. They were not human ships. "Sir, we're getting readings from the deep space sensors," said his communication officer. "Something big is coming," Hyunwoo nodded. He had been expecting this day for months. Earth scientists had detected strange signals from the outer edges of the solar system. Now those signals were becoming real ships, very big ships. The first alien vessel came out of nowhere. It was massive, like a floating city made of dark metal. Then another appeared. Then 10 more. Soon the space around Earth was full of alien ships. Each one was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Dr. So Young was working late in her laboratory on the moon when the alarm started ringing. She ran to the observation deck and looked up at Earth. The planet looked small and blue, just like always, but now there were dark shadows moving around it. "Alien ships, this is it," she whispered to herself. First contact. But this was not the friendly first contact that humans had dreamed about. A voice came through every radio and television on Earth. It spoke in perfect human language, but the voice was cold and mechanical. "People of Earth," the voice said, "I am Supreme Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. Your planet has been chosen for integration into our empire. You have one of your days to surrender. If you refuse, we will take your world by force." The message was short and simple. The aliens did not want to talk or make friends. They wanted to own Earth. Captain Dong Hyun was in the asteroid belt when the aliens arrived. His small patrol ship was one of the first to see the enemy up close. The alien ship that found him was bigger than his entire squadron. It looked like a dark mountain floating in space. "This is Captain Dong Hyun to Earth Command," he said into his radio. "I can see the enemy. They're huge. My weapons won't even scratch them." "Understood, Captain," came the reply. "Do what you can. Protect Earth." Dong Hyun looked at his crew. There were only 12 people on his ship. The alien vessel probably had thousands. But they were humans, and humans did not give up easily. "All right, everyone," he told his crew. "We knew this might happen someday. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of." His ship was fast, but the alien weapons were faster. Green beams of light cut through space, destroying human ships like toys. Dong Hyun watched his friends die, but he kept fighting. When his weapons ran out, he did something the aliens did not expect. He aimed his ship directly at the alien vessel and pushed the engines to maximum power. His small ship crashed into the massive alien hull like a bullet. The explosion was tiny compared to the alien ship, but it left a mark. A message that humans would not surrender easily. On Earth, people watched the news with fear and anger. The alien ultimatum was playing on every screen. Some people wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight even though they knew they would probably lose. Ji-Hai was a soldier who had served in many wars on Earth. She watched the alien ships in the sky and made a decision. Even if the government surrendered, she would not. She gathered her friends and started planning. "They think we're weak because our technology is old," she told her group. "But they don't understand humans. We survive, we adapt, we never give up." Ji-Hai and her friends were not the only ones thinking this way. All over Earth, people were making the same choice. Teachers, farmers, mechanics, students, they all decided to fight. Engineer Min-ho was in Seoul when the bombing started. The aliens had waited exactly 1 day, just like they promised. When Earth's government refused to surrender, the alien ships began attacking. Green beams fell from the sky like deadly rain. Buildings turned to dust. Streets melted like ice. Min-ho ran through the chaos trying to reach his workshop. He had an idea, but he needed his tools. An alien weapon beam had hit a building near his workshop. In the rubble, he found something amazing, a piece of alien technology. It was still warm and glowing with strange energy. "If I can figure out how this works," Min-ho thought, "maybe we can fight back." He grabbed the alien device and ran to his underground workshop. While the city burned above him, he began taking the alien weapon apart. It was like nothing he had ever seen, but Min-ho was a good engineer. He learned fast. Supreme Commander Veltar watched the attack from his command ship. The human military was fighting back, but their weapons were primitive. Their ships were small and slow. "This would be over soon. How long until the planet is secured?" he asked his second in command. 3 more days, Supreme Commander. The humans are resisting more than expected, but they cannot win." Veltar nodded. He had conquered 847 worlds for the Zephyrian Empire. Every species fought at first, but they all surrendered in the end. Humans would be no different. But deep underground in hidden bunkers and secret workshops, humans were working. They were studying every piece of alien technology they could find. They were learning, adapting, improving. Dr. So Young had made it back to Earth and was now working with Minho and dozens of other scientists. They were reverse engineering alien technology faster than anyone thought possible. "Look at this," Minho said, showing her his work. "Their energy systems are more advanced than ours, but the design is inefficient. We can make it better." "Better?" So Young asked. "Much better," Minho smiled. "These aliens are smart, but they think in straight lines. Humans think in curves." The war for Earth had begun and the aliens thought they had already won, but they had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest weapon, the refusal to accept defeat. In the ruins of Earth cities, in hidden bunkers around the world, humans were preparing for the real fight. The aliens had superior technology and bigger ships, but humans had something else. They had the ability to learn from their enemies and become stronger. The Zephyrian Empire had destroyed many worlds and conquered many species, but they had never faced anything like humanity before. They were about to learn why that was a very dangerous mistake. 3 years had passed since the Zephyrian Empire invaded Earth. The aliens thought they had won an easy victory. They controlled the skies and the major cities. Their soldiers patrolled the streets with their advanced weapons. But something was wrong, and they were starting to notice. Commander So-Jin worked in a secret laboratory deep underground. The room was hidden beneath the ruins of what used to be Tokyo. She and her team of scientists had been studying alien technology every day for 3 years. The walls were covered with drawings and notes about Zephyrian weapons, ships, and computers. "Have you seen the latest reports?" asked Dr. Kim, one of her assistants. "The Resistance destroyed another alien patrol yesterday. They used modified Zephyrian plasma rifles," So-Jin smiled. "Good, that makes 17 successful attacks this month. We're getting better at copying their technology." The humans had learned something important about their enemies. The Zephyrians were very advanced, but they were also very predictable. They did everything the same way every time. They never changed their tactics or improved their defenses. This made them easy to study and eventually easy to defeat. Colonel Taman was coordinating attacks all over the planet. He had set up a secret communication network that connected resistance groups in every country. The aliens could not find these hidden radio transmitters because the humans had learned to use Zephyrian technology against them. "Listen carefully," Taman said into his radio. "Tomorrow at exactly noon, all groups will attack their targets at the same time. The aliens won't know what hit them." The plan was simple but effective. While the aliens were busy fighting resistance fighters in Europe, other groups would attack supply depots in Asia. When the aliens sent reinforcements to Asia, fighters in America would strike. The Zephyrians were always one step behind. Dr. Yuna had made a disturbing discovery in her laboratory. She was a biologist who had been studying captured Zephyrian soldiers. The aliens were physically very different from humans, and this difference gave humans an unexpected advantage. "Their immune systems are completely different from ours," she explained to So-Jin. "Earth bacteria and viruses that don't harm us at all can be deadly to them." "You mean we can make them sick?" So-Jin asked. "More than sick," Yuna replied. "I've developed several biological agents that specifically target Zephyrian physiology. We could wipe out entire alien garrisons without firing a shot." This was the kind of thinking that made humans dangerous. They did not just copy alien technology. They found weaknesses and exploited them. They used the aliens' own advantages against them. Captain J-Ho was preparing for the most dangerous mission of his life. Intelligence reports had located a Zephyrian command ship in orbit around the moon. It was heavily defended, but it contained something invaluable: living alien commanders who knew all of their military secrets. "Remember, we need at least one of them alive," J-Ho told his assault team. "Dead aliens can't tell us how to defeat their empire." His ship was a hybrid of human and alien technology. The hull was built using human manufacturing techniques, but it was powered by stolen Zephyrian engines. The weapons were human-designed but fired alien energy beams. It was faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had ever seen. The attack on the command ship was swift and brutal. The aliens expected human resistance to be disorganized and primitive. Instead, they faced soldiers using their own technology but improved with human creativity and innovation. Jeho's team fought their way through the alien ship corridor by corridor. The Zephyrian soldiers were well trained, but they were confused by human tactics. Humans did not follow the same rules of warfare that the aliens expected. When a human soldier ran out of ammunition, he did not retreat. He would grab whatever was nearby, alien weapons, pieces of metal, even furniture, and keep fighting. When outnumbered, humans did not surrender. They would set traps, use explosives, or call in airstrikes on their own position rather than be captured. The aliens had conquered hundreds of worlds, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Intelligence officer Yunji was in charge of questioning the captured alien commanders. She had learned their language and studied their culture. She knew how to make them talk. "Your empire has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years," she said to the highest-ranking prisoner. "But you've never faced humans before. Do you know why you're losing this war?" The alien commander said nothing, but Yunji could see fear in its eyes. "You're losing because you never learned how to adapt," she continued. "Every species you conquered before was weaker than you. They surrendered when they realized they couldn't win. But humans don't surrender. We learn, we improve, we become stronger than our enemies." Through careful interrogation, Yunji learned crucial information about the Zephyrian Empire. It was vast and powerful, but it was also brittle. The aliens ruled through fear and superior technology. They had never faced a species that could match their technology, while exceeding their determination to win. Admiral Hyunwoo was now commanding a fleet of hybrid human-alien warships. These vessels looked strange, with human design elements mixed with Zephyrian technology, but they worked better than either species could have built alone. "Status report," he asked his bridge crew. "All systems operational, Admiral," replied his chief engineer. "The new FTL drive is working perfectly. We're actually faster than the alien ships now." This was the moment Hyunwoo realized that everything had changed. Humans were no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting to win, and they were going to win. The new human FTL drive was not just a copy of alien technology. Human engineers had studied the Zephyrian design and found ways to make it more efficient. They had reduced the power requirements by 30% and increased the speed by 50%. The aliens' own technology had become obsolete. In secret bases around the solar system, humans were building a new kind of military force. These were not the desperate resistance fighters who had battled alien occupation for 3 years. These were professional soldiers equipped with weapons and ships that were superior to anything the Zephyrians possessed. Minho had become one of Earth's leading experts on alien technology. His workshop had grown into a massive research facility. Hundreds of engineers and scientists worked under his direction, constantly improving captured alien equipment. "We've just completed testing on the new plasma cannon design," he reported to Admiral Hyunwoo. "It's 40% more powerful than the original Zephyrian version, and it uses half the energy." "How long until we can outfit the entire fleet?" Hyunwoo asked. 2 months, sir. Maybe less if we can capture more alien manufacturing equipment." The war was about to enter a new phase. For 3 years, humans had been learning and adapting. Now they were ready to go on the offensive. The Zephyrian Empire had created their own worst enemy by giving humans access to advanced technology and the motivation to master it. Supreme Commander Veltar was beginning to understand that he had made a serious mistake. His reports to the Zephyrian High Council were becoming more and more concerned. "The human resistance is more organized than expected," he wrote. "They have somehow acquired our technology and are using it against us. I recommend sending additional reinforcements immediately." But Veltar did not yet understand the full scope of the problem. Humans had not just acquired Zephyrian technology, they had improved it. The students were about to become the masters, and the Zephyrian Empire was about to learn what happens when gods underestimate mortals. The next phase of the war would show the aliens that their greatest mistake was not invading Earth. Their greatest mistake was giving humanity something to fight for and the tools to win. 5 years after the invasion, the war had completely changed. The Zephyrian soldiers who once walked proudly through Earth's streets now moved in large groups, always watching the shadows. They had learned to fear humans in ways they never imagined possible. Captain Min Jung stood on the bridge of the TSF Indomitable, humanity's first completely original warship design. It looked nothing like the massive Zephyrian vessels. Instead of being big and heavily armored, it was sleek and fast, like a shark built for hunting. Target acquired, Captain, reported her weapons officer. Zephyrian supply convoy, 3 ships, minimal escort. Perfect, Minjung smiled. Let's show them what human engineering can do. The Indomitable moved like lightning. It appeared behind the alien convoy without warning, destroyed 2 ships with precise plasma strikes, disabled the 3rd, and vanished into hyperspace before the Zephyrian escorts could react. The entire attack took less than 60 seconds. This was the new reality for the Zephyrian Empire. Humans no longer fought desperate defensive battles. They hunted alien ships across the solar system like wolves hunting deer. General Wu Jin was planning the biggest operation in human military history. Called Operation Prometheus, it would involve simultaneous attacks on every major Zephyrian position in the solar system. The aliens would face coordinated strikes from Mars to the outer planets. Remember, we need to hit them everywhere at once, Wu Jin explained to his commanders. If we give them time to react and coordinate their defenses, they might stop us. But if we strike like lightning across the entire system, they won't know where to focus their attention. The operation used new quantum communication technology that the aliens could not detect or intercept. Human forces could coordinate their attacks instantly across billions of miles of space. The Zephyrians still used slower communication methods that could be jammed or monitored. Dr. Haye Jin had solved one of humanity's biggest problems: where to hide their growing military forces. She had developed terraforming technology that could turn dead planets and asteroids into secret bases. These hidden installations were invisible to Zephyrian sensors and could support thousands of people. We now have 17 secret bases throughout the outer solar system, she reported to the military command. Each one is fully self-sufficient and armed with the latest weapons. Even if they find and destroy half of them, we'll still have enough firepower to continue the fight. These hidden bases were humanity's insurance policy. No matter what happened to Earth, humans would survive and continue fighting. The Zephyrians could no longer win by simply conquering one planet. Commander Sora had discovered something that terrified the aliens more than any weapon: human music. She had begun broadcasting classical music on all Zephyrian communication frequencies. Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and other human composers were now being heard throughout alien space. Why does this disturb them so much? Asked her communications officer. Their brains process sound differently than ours, Sora explained. What we hear as beautiful harmony, they experience as chaos and discord. Our music literally hurts their minds. This psychological warfare was incredibly effective. Zephyrian crews reported nightmares and panic attacks after listening to human music. Some alien soldiers refused to patrol areas where human broadcasts were strong. Admiral Kyung Ho was preparing for humanity's first major offensive operation outside the solar system. Intelligence reports had identified a crucial Zephyrian supply depot only 12 light-years away. Capturing it would cripple alien operations in the entire region. This will send a message to their empire, Kyung Ho told his fleet commanders. We're not just defending our home anymore. We're coming for them. The attack fleet included 30 of humanity's newest warships. Each vessel combined the best of human and alien technology, but improved with years of combat experience. They were faster, more powerful, and more efficient than anything in the Zephyrian Navy. The journey to the alien depot took 3 days using the improved human FTL drives. When they arrived, the humans found exactly what their intelligence had predicted: a massive space station protected by a fleet of Zephyrian warships. But the aliens were not prepared for what happened next. The human fleet did not attack directly like the Zephyrians expected. Instead, they used tactics that no alien species had ever tried. Some human ships attacked from the front, drawing the defenders' attention. Others approached from different directions, hidden by advanced stealth technology. Still others launched clouds of small, automated attack drones that swarmed the alien defenses like angry insects. The battle was over in 4 hours. The humans had not just captured the supply depot. They had done it with minimal losses while destroying or capturing most of the defending fleet. Even more importantly, they had sent a clear message: Earth's children were no longer hiding. Supreme Commander Veltar received the news with growing horror. His empire was losing its first war in over 1,000 years, and he was responsible. How is this possible? He demanded of his staff. They are a primitive species with inferior technology. Supreme Commander, replied his intelligence officer, their technology is no longer inferior. In many areas, it now surpasses our own. They have taken our designs and improved them beyond our capabilities. This was the truth that the Zephyrian Empire could not accept. They had always conquered through technological superiority. When faced with a species that could not only match but exceed their technology, they had no idea how to respond. Back on Earth, Minho was leading teams of engineers in converting captured alien facilities into human manufacturing centers. Every Zephyrian base that fell to human forces was quickly transformed into a production facility for human weapons and ships. "We're now building warships faster than we're losing them," he reported proudly. "At this rate, we'll have the largest fleet in the galaxy within 2 years." The captured alien technology was providing blueprints for equipment the humans had never seen before. Planet-killing weapons, shields that could protect entire star systems, manufacturing systems that could build starships in days instead of years. All of this knowledge was now in human hands. Dr. So Young had been analyzing intercepted Zephyrian communications and had made a disturbing discovery. The alien empire was much larger than anyone had realized, but it was also much weaker. "They rule through fear and intimidation," she explained to the military leadership. "Most of their subject species hate them but are too afraid to rebel. If word spreads that humans are winning against the Zephyrians, it could inspire uprisings across their entire empire." This information changed everything. Humans were not just fighting for Earth anymore. They were potentially fighting to liberate hundreds of enslaved worlds. The war had become something much larger than anyone had imagined. Captain Jeho was now leading deep space reconnaissance missions, mapping Zephyrian territory, and making contact with other species. What he found confirmed So Young's analysis. The Zephyrian Empire was vast but brittle, held together only by the fear of their technological superiority. "The species they conquered are nothing like us," Jeho reported after returning from his latest mission. "They surrendered as soon as they realized they couldn't win. They never considered the possibility of adapting and fighting back. This was humanity's unique advantage. Other species saw superior technology and accepted defeat. Humans saw superior technology and figured out how to steal it, copy it, and improve it. The Zephyrian Empire had created something unprecedented in galactic history, an enemy that became stronger with every battle. Each attack taught humans new lessons. Each captured ship provided new technology. Each victory brought new allies who had been waiting for someone to stand up to their alien oppressors. As the 5th year of the war ended, the balance of power had completely shifted. The aliens who had once seemed like gods were now running scared. The primitive species they had planned to enslave in a few months had become the apex predators of the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire was about to learn that pride truly does come before a fall. The Zephyrian Empire had decided that humanity must be completely destroyed. News of human victories had spread across their territory, and other conquered species were beginning to rebel. If humans were not stopped immediately, the entire empire might collapse. 10,000 Zephyrian warships were moving toward the solar system. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. They brought planet-killing weapons, reality-bending technology, and the combined fury of a species that had never known defeat. Admiral Insu watched the approaching alien fleet from his command center, deep inside an asteroid. The Terran defense grid was ready. For 5 years, humans had been preparing for exactly this moment. "They're trying to scare us with numbers," Insu said to his staff. 10,000 ships sounds impressive, but we've learned that quantity doesn't always beat quality. The solar system had been turned into the ultimate fortress. Hidden weapons platforms floated in asteroid belts. Automated defense satellites disguised as space debris waited for activation signals. Mobile strike fleets hid behind the gas giants, ready to attack from unexpected angles. But the humans knew this would be their hardest battle yet. The Zephyrians were bringing everything they had, including weapons that could destroy entire planets. Earth itself might not survive this war. Captain Dayun commanded the evacuation fleets. Massive transport ships were moving millions of civilians to the hidden bases in the outer solar system. If Earth fell, humanity would survive and continue fighting. "How many people can we save?" asked her second in command. "Not all of them," Dayun replied sadly. "But enough. The species will survive, and that's what matters now." The Zephyrian attack began with a show of overwhelming force. Energy beams that could crack continents fell from space like rain. Entire cities disappeared in seconds. It seemed like the Empire would finally crush the troublesome humans through sheer brutality. Defense Coordinator Sung Min activated the first layer of Earth's defenses. Hidden missile launchers emerged from mountains and ocean floors. Orbital weapons platforms revealed themselves and began firing. The space around Earth lit up like a deadly fireworks display. But the aliens kept coming. For every Zephyrian ship that humans destroyed, 2 more took its place. The sheer numbers were overwhelming. "We can't stop them all," Sung Min reported to Admiral Insu. "There are just too many of them." "Then we use the special weapons," Insu replied grimly. Dr. Bo Young had spent years developing humanity's most secret weapon. She had learned to create computer viruses that could infect alien technology through their communication networks. These digital plagues could turn Zephyrian ships against each other. "Uploading the virus now," she announced. "In 30 seconds, their own computers will become our weapons." The effect was immediate and devastating. Zephyrian ships suddenly stopped responding to orders. Their weapons turned on their own fleet. Their navigation systems sent them crashing into each other. Chaos spread through their formations like wildfire. Commander Jun-ho led the counterattack. His stealth fleet emerged from hiding and struck at the confused alien forces. The new human ships used quantum phase technology that let them pass through Zephyrian shields as if they didn't exist. "All units, target the command ships," Jun-ho ordered. "Cut off their heads and the body will die." The battle turned into a nightmare for the Zephyrians. Their overwhelming numerical advantage meant nothing when their own ships were attacking each other. Human forces struck like ghosts, appearing suddenly to destroy key targets before vanishing again. Engineer Yan Wu was leading capture teams throughout the battle. While other humans were fighting and dying, her teams were boarding disabled Zephyrian vessels and stealing everything valuable. Technology, weapons, intelligence data, nothing was wasted. "Remember, we need those ships intact," she told her teams. "Every alien vessel we capture makes us stronger." This was what made humans different from every other species the Zephyrians had fought. Even in the middle of a desperate battle for survival, humans were thinking about how to learn from their enemies and become stronger. The tide of battle was turning, but at a terrible cost. Earth's surface was scarred with massive craters. Entire continents were burning. Billions of people had died in the first hours of the attack. But humanity was still fighting. Supreme Commander Veltar watched his perfect plan falling apart. The humans were using tactics that made no sense. They were sacrificing valuable positions to capture worthless alien ships. They were more interested in learning than in winning. "Why do they keep taking our damaged vessels?" he asked his staff. "Those ships are no threat to them." His intelligence officer was beginning to understand, but the truth was too terrible to accept. "Supreme Commander, I believe they are studying our technology to improve their own weapons." "Impossible," Veltar replied. "No species has ever been able to reverse engineer our technology." But that was exactly what humans were doing. In the middle of the greatest battle in galactic history, human engineers were taking apart alien computers, analyzing alien weapons, and figuring out how to build better versions. The battle raged for days. The Zephyrians threw everything they had at the solar system: planet-killing weapons, reality distortion bombs, temporal displacement cannons, horrors that had destroyed entire civilizations, but humans adapted to each new weapon. When the aliens used planet crackers, humans developed planetary shields. When they used reality bombs, humans learned to anchor space-time itself. Every alien superweapon was eventually countered by human ingenuity. Admiral Kyung-ho led the final assault on the remaining Zephyrian forces. His fleet had grown during the battle as more and more captured alien ships were repaired and put back into service under human command. "This is for Earth," he announced as his ships moved in for the kill, "and for every species your empire has enslaved." The last Zephyrian command ship was destroyed by weapons built from their own technology, but improved by human engineers. The Great Invasion fleet was completely annihilated. Not a single alien vessel escaped to tell the tale, but the humans intercepted communications that made their victory bittersweet. Throughout Zephyrian space, other conquered species were rising in rebellion. The news of human resistance had spread, and slaves across the galaxy were fighting for their freedom. The Zephyrian Empire was collapsing. Their core worlds were in panic. Their military forces were stretched thin, trying to suppress dozens of rebellions. The humans had not just won a battle, They had triggered the fall of a galactic empire. In the aftermath of the Great Battle, Admiral Insu surveyed the damage. Earth was badly hurt but still alive. More importantly, humanity was now clearly the dominant military power in the galaxy. "What do we do now?" asked his aide. Insu looked at the stars and thought about all the species still enslaved by what remained of the Zephyrian Empire. "Now we finish what they started. We're going to liberate the galaxy." The Zephyrian invasion had failed completely. Instead of conquering humanity, they had created a new galactic superpower. The empire that had ruled through fear and superior technology was about to learn that there are some forces in the universe that cannot be conquered. The human spirit was one of them. The war for Earth was over, but the war for galactic freedom was just beginning. 20 years had passed since the Great Battle for Earth. The galaxy was a very different place now. Where once the Zephyrian Empire had ruled through fear and superior technology, there was now something that had never existed before. A confederation of free worlds working together by choice. Admiral Jiho commanded the Terran Expeditionary Force from his flagship, the TFS Liberator. His mission was not conquest but liberation. Across the galaxy, former Zephyrian slave worlds were calling for help, and humanity was answering. "Status report on the Kepler rescue mission," he requested from his bridge crew. "The Calarian people have been freed from their Zephyrian overseers, Admiral," came the reply. "Their planet is now under the protection of the Terran Federation. They're requesting assistance to rebuild their civilization." This was the new reality. Humans had become the galaxy's liberators, using their advanced technology to free enslaved species and help them rebuild their societies. The former Zephyrian subjects were amazed to discover that their rescuers wanted nothing in return except friendship. Dr. Hyojin worked in the Medical Research Center on Titan, developing treatments for the genetic damage that centuries of Zephyrian rule had inflicted on conquered species. The aliens had deliberately weakened their slaves by manipulating their DNA to make them more compliant and less capable of rebellion. "We've successfully reversed the genetic modifications in 17 species so far," she reported to the Federation Council. "The Altarians are already showing increased intelligence and creativity. Within a generation, they should be back to their natural capabilities." This was perhaps humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the ability to heal what the Zephyrians had broken. Human biotechnology could repair damaged genes, restore lost abilities, and give enslaved species back their natural strength and intelligence. Captain Su Young led deep space reconnaissance missions into the collapsed remains of Zephyrian territory. What she found was a galaxy in chaos. Former core worlds were now battlegrounds where competing warlords fought over the scraps of alien technology. The great empire had shattered into thousands of small warring factions. "Most of the former Zephyrian worlds are uninhabitable now," she reported after returning from her latest mission. "Civil wars, environmental destruction, technological collapse, they've destroyed themselves, fighting over what's left of their empire." The proud aliens, who had once ruled half the galaxy, were now reduced to scavenging the ruins of their own civilization. Their rigid, hierarchical society could not adapt to the new reality, where they were no longer the dominant species. In the neutral zone between human space and the Zephyrian ruins, a small fleet of alien ships waited under a flag of truce. Supreme Commander Veltar, now an old and broken being, had come to make a desperate offer. Ambassador Si Jin met with the alien delegation in a space station specially built for diplomatic meetings. The room was designed to accommodate different species with adjustable atmosphere, gravity, and lighting systems. "Supreme Commander," Si Jin said politely, "what brings you to Terran space?" Veltar looked nothing like the proud military leader who had invaded Earth 25 years earlier. His once gleaming armor was patched and dull. His eyes showed the weariness of a being who had watched his entire civilization collapse. "We offer you dominion over half the galaxy," Veltar said quietly. "The sectors we once controlled are yours if you will agree to peace with what remains of our empire." Si Jin studied the alien commander carefully. This was the being who had ordered the destruction of Earth's cities and the enslavement of humanity. Now he was begging for mercy. "We appreciate your offer, Supreme Commander," Si Jin replied, "but humanity is not interested in empire. We've seen what the pursuit of dominion did to your people." Veltar looked confused. In his experience, every species wanted power over others. The idea that humans might choose something different was incomprehensible to him. "Then what do you want?" he asked. "We want what we've always wanted," Sejin answered. "Freedom. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone. We're building something your empire never understood. A community of equals." The final diplomatic meeting took place on Earth itself, in the city of New Geneva, rebuilt from the ruins of the old city that had been destroyed in the war. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to sign the Terran Federation Charter. Director Eugene gave tours to visiting aliens who came to study at the Terran Academy. The school had been built to educate the children of liberated worlds, teaching them science, technology, and most importantly, the principles of freedom and cooperation. "This is where we teach the history of the war," Eugene explained to a group of young Altarian students, not to glorify conflict, but to understand how it changed the galaxy. The students looked at displays showing the great battles, the technological developments, and the ultimate victory over the Zephyrian Empire. But the most important display was the last one, showing the choice humanity had made after winning the war. When humans became the strongest force in the galaxy, they could have become the new empire, Eugene explained. They could have ruled over everyone else just like the Zephyrians did. Instead, they chose to help others become strong and free. This was the lesson that young beings from across the galaxy came to Earth to learn. Power did not have to mean domination. Strength could be used to lift others up instead of keeping them down. In space above Earth, massive orbital habitats housed millions of refugees from the collapsed Zephyrian territories. These were not prison camps or slave colonies, but temporary homes where displaced beings could recover from centuries of oppression while deciding what to do with their newfound freedom. The Terran Federation had grown to include over 300 worlds, but it was not an empire. Each member world was completely independent, choosing its own government and way of life. They worked together because they wanted to, not because they were forced to. Admiral Hyunwoo, now retired but still serving as an advisor to the Federation Council, often looked up at the stars and thought about how much had changed. The same space where Zephyrian dreadnoughts had once threatened Earth was now filled with peaceful trading ships from dozens of different species. "Did we win?" a young cadet asked him during a visit to the academy. "We did more than win," Hyunwoo replied. "We proved that there's a better way. The Zephyrians ruled through fear and superior technology. We chose to lead through example and cooperation." The cadet looked puzzled. "But don't you think other species might try to conquer the galaxy like the Zephyrians did?" "Let them try," Hyunwoo smiled. "They'll find that enslaved peoples don't stay enslaved anymore. We've shown the galaxy what freedom looks like, and that's a lesson that can't be unlearned." The warning beacons around the solar system still broadcast their message in 1,000 languages. "Danger. Terran space. Entry forbidden by Galactic Treaty." But now everyone knew the real meaning of that message. It was not a threat. It was a promise. Any species that tried to build an empire through conquest and oppression would face the same fate as the Zephyrians. The humans had proven that pride, arrogance, and the belief in superiority over others would always lead to downfall. The Zephyrian Empire had been destroyed not by superior firepower or larger numbers, but by their own failure to understand the most important truth in the galaxy, that the strength of many free beings working together would always triumph over the power of one tyrant ruling over slaves. In trying to add Earth to their empire, the Zephyrians had created something far more powerful than any empire could ever be. They had given the galaxy hope, and hope was the one force in the universe that no tyrant could ever truly defeat. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and it had all started with one species that refused to accept defeat and chose healing over vengeance when they finally won.